I can literally solve this for you right now.
Okay.
I'll solve it for you right now.
Let's hear it.
If let's say a underage girl was raped or something, God forbid, and they needed to do an abortion, I would say take that fetus out of her and put it into someone who can carry.
Let's be clear. At no point in the recent history of abortion laws in the United States was this ever called into question.
Because that's why somebody
the only
told
thing,
me
the only thing that
was
happened,
called into question.
that's the repeal of Roe v. Wade harmed, yes, the extremely liberal laws that some states did have, maybe. But if those states continue to be liberal, they can keep those on the books. But anyway, look, here's what I wanted to ask you, because you chose reproductive rights, right?
Yeah.
So, to you,
most of them did.
To you, the extremely liberal abortion rights that Roe v. Wade enforced on the whole country, those are more important to you than hundreds of thousands of children getting blown up and dying?
I feel like the way you phrase that question is
very loaded.
She's very on our side.
Bad question.
When we're talking about foreign conflicts,
I just want to clarify
we're not talking
the
about
specific Roe v. Wade situation that's going on, right?
Okay.
So what I want to identify is the amount of women who have lost their life due to the fact of a failed pregnancy.
It's nothing close
not
to the
due
wars.
to an abortion.
Nothing close to the wars.
Of course it's not.
That's why
but
they're
it's a
so
human
different.
right.
It's still
every human should have the ability to have access
you know what
to
else
medical
is a human
care.
right? You know what else is a human right?
To live.
That's not my country.
Wait,
I'm not a citizen there. I understand that war is impacting, but at the same time, the United States is a juggernaut in the entire global capital. They have major influence over these small countries.
Is it still your country if your brothers and the men in your life are being sent to go die in war?
I am a citizen here in the United States.
Of America.
How about do you not care if your fellow male citizens are being sent to die?
Well, let me ask you, when was the last time that for a draft, when was the last time that every United States citizen who was a man over the age of 18 was drafted and legally had to go?
When we fought the Vietnam War, we had a draft, and Vietnam was a small country, and we were fighting in jungles. The next war we're going to have is World War III.
Well, when was Vietnam?
Which is going to be against Russia, China, Iran, and you bet your ass they're going to start bringing the draft back. There's no other way
But what I'm
around it.
saying specifically is that you're not highlighting the issue that it's a major human rights violation for medical care.
People that's in charge to fight them wars. So when you say foreign conflict, you're talking specifically about war?
I'm talking about the foreign policy agenda.
Because that's a loaded question, right? When you say which is more important.
I was referring to war when I asked that question.
One thing was specific and one thing was very broad.
Right.
Come on.
And also, that's a domestic issue versus a global issue.
Don't you think
it's domestic versus global?
Don't you think it's kind of worrying?
Why would you compare domestic issue
Listen,
over a
I'm
global
not
issue?
here to bully you and isolate you, but there are many young women who think like you do, and don't you think we should be a little worried that so many people are gibbering about human rights abortion in the face of nuclear war?
I didn't say human rights and abortion. I'm talking about.
How could you say that?
Well,
how could you say abortion rights are more important than preventing nuclear war?
You forced her into that position with your loaded question.
Can I speak real quick?
Okay, but
I did not
clarify what you mean.
I did not say abortion rights. You said reproductive rights. What happens in a reproductive system? You can become pregnant. What happens if you have an ectopic pregnancy and your life is on the line and the only thing that's going to save your life is an abortion? But guess what? It's illegal in your state. And you have to fly and get in a helicopter, go a couple states over just to get the medical attention that you need. What happens if you're bleeding out and the doctor tells you the only way that he can save your life and the child's life is if he pulls that child out at that moment in time?
Bombed?
Oh, that's not an extreme. That's not an extreme. We don't see it.
Okay, when's the last time the United States, besides 9/11, when's the last time there was a domestic terrorist attack besides 9/11?
The next world war isn't going to be a domestic terrorist attack.
Okay, but don't you understand that this is a domestic issue? It's not a global issue.
The foreign policy agenda that's in place right now.
Foreign policy is completely different than human rights.
Yeah, domestic
human rights in the United States is completely different. Those are
two questions.
You know what's scary? You know what's scary? Us?
Give me a second.
They're gonna be boarding.
Give me a second.
That's scary.
Go ahead.
What's scary
Give me a second. Give me a second.
Listen.
What's scary?
The money we spent on Vietnam bankrupted us, and is why we've.
Why were we even in the Vietnam War?
We should have never.
Why were we even there? Because we needed to take our flat ass nose
No,
off.
I'll tell you.
The reason we are in
It was for abortions and
You
human
know,
rights.
no respect
didn't
to
have
any
as
of the
much.
veterans who lost their lives and
No
you know
disrespect.
who,
You don't care.
who contributed.
Right,
I
you
do.
don't care, right?
I do. I have
don't care.
veterans
You
in my
just
family.
said that you think.
I have
but you
veterans
just.
in my family. Anyone who puts their life down for their country, I'm gonna respect you. You're gonna have honor according to your family because you're putting your principles
reproductive
down.
rights
No,
over
no, no.
foreign policy.
How does that relate to having pride and respect
I gotta
for a
throw it back to the
veteran?
Listen,
beginning. That was
look.
not the question that y'all
Are they
asked.
All right, hold on.
surviving and
Question
fighting
Now,
y'all
for
asked.
human rights?
let's rephrase the question, because you know what? I want everyone to get a second
It
chance.
was reproductive
I'm not-
rights
listen.
versus foreign policy,
foreign
not
conflict.
abortion
Listen,
versus war.
look,
You already
look,
said
look.
foreign conflict.
I'm not here to bully y'all. I want to give you a second chance.
I feel like we're having a great
Do you?
debate.
Yeah, this is a
Do you-
good debate.
yeah, that's why I want to give you a second
Yeah.
chance. So what do you think is a more pressing and urgent matter? The current foreign policy orientation of the U.S. government or reproductive rights? Go ahead.
Again, like this is just such a weird question where the
Which
two
one?
don't compare to each other. You're talking about
So you
one
don't want to
single.
answer.
Okay, let me answer. Let me answer. You're talking about one domestic policy issue versus a conglomerate of foreign
What?
policy
All right,
issues.
let me ask you a better question.
What war
What
are
is
you
more-
talking about? What foreign conflict are you referring to?
So, for example, we've pumped hundreds of billions of dollars into Ukraine to fight Russia. So we're escalating that war, and we're going to get involved there.
Should the United States focus more on domestic reproductive issues or the Ukraine war? Is that your question?
Let me give you an
Is
example.
that your question?
Let's say Trump was actually, I don't think he will, but let's say he's actually going to end that war, and he's going to end NATO's aggression. He's going to end the United States' escalation of the foreign wars.
He's
but
not.
He's gonna, okay, but, right. But he's going to completely get rid of reproductive. Which one's more important to you?
Well, you're asking me these hypotheticals based on more hypotheticals that don't apply.
All I'm trying
You
to
could say they're
emphasize.
both important.
Listen.
They're both
No,
important.
but
They're both
here's-
important.
here's-
But they're not
here's-
both important.
They're not
one
related.
is.
Here's what I'm trying to say though. It's not even fucking close.
That's what you're trying to get somebody to say, but that doesn't make it true.
But it is true. The foreign policy direction of our government is a million times more important to be concerned about.
Again,
than
singular domestic
reproductive rights.
policy issue versus a conglomerate of foreign
No.
conflicts.
It's a small single policy issue that barely has any
Small
impact on
single
anything.
policy issue, the issue
Versus-
of abortion.
versus the
issue
entire-
of
How does it
abortion
barely
is a small
impact
single
everyone? That's
policy
my question.
issue.
Because what we're talking about is the fate not only of America as a whole, but all of humanity, a nuclear war. That's way more important.
But you're talking about the issue of abortion being a small single policy
Yeah,
issue. One
it's a nothing
policy.
burger. It's
One
nothing
policy.
burger. It's a nothing burger issue.
Okay, explain that.
It doesn't matter.
What the fuck?
It doesn't. So you're not going to explain it because you can't explain it.
Because in the long-term view of things, as far as how screwed we are right now as a country,
Oh my God, here you go.
It should
Here
be
you go.
so low on the list of priorities that someone in Ohio.
So why would you put those
is
two
going-
up together?
Yeah, why
and
would you
tell
put
us
those
to
two-
compare
just to be
them to
like,
each
you
other?
shouldn't give
You
a
just
fuck about
put
those
them
to
into
begin
that
with.
box there
There's
that you were
world
trying
leaders
to.
that can take over these decisions. We are business owners,
Yeah.
entrepreneur people, like just helping to build the economy. We
Yeah.
cannot make decisions over these big ass questions that you're asking. It's like
Well,
it
you
doesn't
could,
make
you could,
no
you
sense.
could start.
You can't do that, Haz.
You could start by
Yeah.
not voting for Kamala Harris.
I mean,
start
if
with
that's
that.
what you want, Haz, if that's what you really, really want.
I agree.
Look, I'm flattered, but it's not about me. This is about as many people as I can reach. That the thing we should be focused on, if we're going to think about politics right now, if we have to, you don't have to think about politics.
I
But
love
if,
to think about
If you're
politics.
going to spend your time thinking about politics, stop getting trapped in these nothing
Just
burger
because you
issues.
say it's a single policy issue doesn't mean it is, Haz. It's obviously a
We
multi-policy
had a discussion,
issue.
right, on Monday about the news was happening in the world. We spoke about the voting of men and women, right? And we brought up what's going to happen when they vote from emotions and feelings. They're going to say, you know what, Kamala's a woman. She's defending my rights to have abortion, all this stuff. We'll vote for her just off of that policy alone. Granted, though, he's saying on a larger scale, it is a nuclear war. You know what's going to happen to us? A third of us might die.
Yeah.
A third of us.
The
of the
world.
population. Which means abortion is a serious topic, of course.
It is a serious
but
topic.
a third of the earth dying from nukes is way more
So
important.
why did you guys pigeonhole us into that question
Because
to
the
begin with?
campaigns
When you
are-
said
Hold on,
which
hold
is
on.
more
Myron,
important?
to be fair,
Which is-
my-
hold on.
did you guys vote
Hold
for
on.
Kamala
Hold on,
just based
so-
on
so
abortion?
the
Which is
current-
more important,
the current
abortion or
campaigns
war?
are being toted against abortion and foreign policy. That's what it
Exactly,
is.
but they also, do you see the
Abortion?
fact in the time that they controlled this
and that would be part of the
conversation?
reason.
So hold on.
And that we're
right now.
literally
No,
talking
listen,
about
listen.
this because it is happening
Hold on,
right
hold on.
now.
To be clear, though.
Yeah.
To be clear, let's set the record straight. Myron asked you, what do you think is more important, foreign conflict or reproductive
That's
rights?
what I said, yeah.
You voluntarily said
Most women said reproductive rights.
reproductive rights. So I was interested in, kind of baffled at that, and I wanted
Because-
to
right,
press you on it
of
to see
course.
why you made that
Because
choice.
the main reason, if we're keeping it basic and generalized, as if we're not on the verge of a nuclear war, right?
Okay,
if
so-
we're going to keep it basic and generalized, I would say establishing human rights, equal human rights for every United States citizen is necessary before even thinking about foreign
All right, let me ask you a
conflict.
question. Are waging unconstitutional wars a violation of our rights in any way?
Waging unconstitutional
Yes.
wars. Give me
Yeah.
an example, for example.
Iraq War.
Okay.
Yes.
I would say specifically it is unconstitutional.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you think that it's in any way a violation of our rights, our human rights as American citizens, when our government and the people who rule us are trying to drive us into these huge conflicts and escalate them?
100%. All
Yeah.
those are the people that we love who are going to a war that they don't have
So
to be in.
That we don't even
foreign
support.
conflicts started and waged by the United States violate our human rights, right?
100%, and I would say there's even more
So why
political.
is that violation of human rights less important than reproductive
Because you
rights?
guys are trying
Because
to
why are you
create
trying
a
to compare
competition.
You're putting
that
them
doesn't
together when they're
exist.
both
Why did you answer Myron in the first place? Then? You
Because
didn't
the
have to
question
answer.
was asked
because I
differently.
genuinely feel like that.
Which are you more personally
All right, I
concerned
wanna-
with is
okay,
different
listen.
than what is the more important
Hold on,
policy
hold
of
on.
the United States government.
Let's get the record clear. Myron asked you foreign conflict, reproductive rights. You choose reproductive rights. You say, well, hold on. You said, I asked why. And then you go, because reproductive rights are a human right.
I said that.
Now I'm asking you.
She
I
said
said
that.
Yeah, you said that. And then now I'm asking you, is it not a violation of our human rights that these foreign conflicts are being started? And you said yes. So where is the logic? Where's-
So where's your
There is no logic,
Where's-
bro. There's nothing there.
America needs to stop sticking her dick into
but the
everyone's
thing
country.
is
Get
that
the
it's
hell out.
relating
That's
back
all.
to
Stop.
big government in the personal decisions of your life. They are going to at some point they are going to
Yeah.
affect a
Yeah, these
specific
issues
decision
are
within
actually
your
more
life,
closely
and it's
related than
actually
you thought.
very important. Just like with reproductive issues, it's the same thing with and when it comes to
so it's
human
the same
rights.
or one is more important now?
Look, I said it's the same thing when it comes to human rights as a United States citizen for all.
Why do you guys try to
Reproductive issues
pigeonhole these
should be
questions?
for everyone.
So
Everyone
your
should be
final,
considered.
so your final,
No,
I have given you both so many life rafts to get yourself out of this
Nobody
hole.
needed a life draft from you, Haas. You're not smarter
is
than
my
anybody at this
opinion.
table.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. So your final answer.
We're all keeping up, are
You're
we
fi-
not?
you're
We're good, Haas. We're good.
Your final.
on,
So your
guys.
final. You're on
This
this
is a
topic.
marathon.
On this
You're
topic-
at the starting line.
On this
Go ahead.
topic, your final answer is that actually I reject the
think she
question
said a final
entirely.
answer.
Is that your final answer? That you think the
What?
question itself that
The
Myron
question
posed
keeps
was wrong?
changing. The context of the question keeps
I think
changing.
it's-
The
Stop moving the
specifics of the
goalposts.
question
Look,
keeps
I
changing.
will stand on the
How,
fact
how
that
did the question
human.
change? Reproductive rights versus foreign conflict. What
Because
changed?
again,
when you
answers,
say
you're not happy with
because-
our answers
because
and a
when you
justified
say-
response.
you say
I
You
don't.
don't
I
agree.
don't think they're. I don't think you really thought this out. That's what I think.
I don't think that you understand that women also have human rights. We should have the same human rights
Not
as
us.
you.
Okay,
And that comes
fine.
from reproductivity.
But I also think that women who are getting bombed and killed have human rights as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Real
so
fast.
that's
Hold on, let me
what
ask
we're
this.
talking about.
Let me ask this. Hold on. For all the ladies here, raise of hands. Do you think voting is a right? The ability to vote is a right. Raise of hands.
Yeah.
It's a right. All of you agree that it's a right?
If it's a right for everybody, it should be a
Yeah,
right
it's
for
a
women.
right for. Okay, so it is. You guys look at voting as a right. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But
Yo,
honestly,
yeah,
after
yeah.
this
Alright,
end of
good.
this conversation, as far as like getting specifically as what you meant, as far as like global conflict, obviously, I'm gonna choose that over reproduction right.
Yeah,
We
the-
mentioned yesterday, Haas, on,
Yeah.
on
It's
Monday.
it's a lot of bitches in
about
here. There's a lot of
the-
niggas in here.
the majority of
Slow
votes.
down on the fucking.
Just be safe,
So
be careful.
we mentioned on Monday, right, the prediction of who they're gonna vote for.
Yeah.
And we mentioned women's are gonna vote for Kamala.
Yeah.
And it's on display right now what's gonna happen because this is the population, bro. They're gonna vote off of feelings of how they feel about abortion, and as a result, who are they gonna vote for?
Okay, but at the same time, I also refer to the fact if one of us, anyone, specifically women, if I'm in a room with Trump alone, and I'm in a room with Kamala alone, guess who I'm gonna feel
What are you
safer
saying
with?
right now?
Kamala.
But she's biting.
I'm not gonna lie. I see Kamala like Oprah.
But dude, I'm not saying they're amazing people. But that's also, I want you to understand that women are specifically looking for security.
But
and if they don't feel like security is found within a candidate, then they're not going to vote for them.
A man will let you know
Here's the problem with this way of thinking. Here's the problem with this way of thinking. It's a very uneducated way of thinking. I'll tell you why.
Why is it? Because I find that it's sexist.
Because as an educated young person, or I don't know how old you are, but as an educated adult, your approach should not be personal. It shouldn't be, do I like this person personally more?
Why?
Because they are figureheads and faces that represent systems, that represent impersonal institutions.
We all have a personal vested interest in politics.
You should regard Kamala and Trump, if you want, for that matter. Imagine it's the same thing, but they're just robots. Boom. It's just a figurehead. It's not personal.
Exactly.
They represent
100%.
something impersonal. So you should focus on the details of what interests that they represent, what forces they represent, and what direction they're going to take the country in. You shouldn't focus on if I'm in a room with them alone.
Trump is going to take the United States country into a more right section, more conservatism.
What's your name?
I don't know. What is it?
What's her name?
Go, Tati. Tell him, girl.
Tati, listen, this is not...
My name is Tatiana.
Tatiana, this is not American Idol.
Of course it's not American Idol, but specifically tell me, if you vote for Trump, you're voting for the Republican Party, correct? So then the Republican Party is going to have the major rule for 4 years.
Right, but the Democrats have had rule for 4 years and nothing changed, and nothing will change.
Okay, but wasn't Trump just in office?
So
you mean before Biden took office?
Yes.
Okay, and
what happened during that time?
You tell me.
Okay, one of the major
trans people were banned from the military. The executive LGBT.
Oh no! Oh my God!
Passed.
That's the worst.
So y'all
Trans
want women
people
to be
banned from
drafted,
military.
but you can't have transgender people being like drafted. I don't get why that's such a problem. You're like,
people
women,
from
if men are
Islamic
drafted,
countries
women
were
should be
banned from
drafted.
entering the United
I'm saying, why should I?
LGBT people refused healthcare based on their sexuality.
Why is it bad that transgender people were banned from the military?
You missed the other 4 things that I said.
Why should I care
trans
about
people
that?
have every
Because you
right to
asked.
defend their country as anybody else. Why wouldn't you want trans people to defend the country?
Because they're fighting wars that are just leading us down a path of self-destruction, killing millions of people
Whatever
and
the
destroying
fuck
their
that
country.
Doesn't even make sense.
All right, so I'm gonna read the chats real quick.
Any type of relationship, you
ladies,
know?
I'm just gonna read the. Can you
How
turn
can
the
you
phones back on?
relate that?
There's no
We
relationship.
can turn the volume down if it's
Human
loud.
It's okay.
I'm gonna read the chats real quick, and then we'll come back to this topic with the whole thing, the policies with.
Can I ask her one question real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Tatiana, right?
Tatiana.
Yeah, Tatiana. Would you prefer to be in a forest with Trump or a bear alone?
Would I prefer to
To be in a
be
forest with Trump or a bear alone?
a bear?
A bear.
Over Trump.
Yeah. Yes. 100%.
That's all I need to know.